Yes, guys, this is the time. This is the time to think out the box. This is the time for entrepreneurship. This is the time to take your life in your hands. I want to take a moment to give a shout out to our guest that's coming in today. It is the one and only Alvina Ryan. She's a best-selling author. I coined her the entrepreneur of the decade. She does insurance. She's a coach. She does massage therapy. Alvina has been an example in our community of leadership. She has been an example of perseverance. I am so grateful to have her on with us today as she's going to let us know a little bit about her life journey, the recent developments, and the awesome news about her recent book that had just dropped. Stay tuned with us today on the Empower Hour.
I think this is deep.
Welcome to the Empower Hour. We bring power to the people because the people have the power. This squad's going to entertain, enlighten, and empower y'all. I'm Queen Kaya, joined by Pharaoh Hammond Freeman and Gina the Great. But before we do anything else, like always, we're going to bless this show and our kings and queens listening.
Blessed melanated rising, my melanated people. I am so grateful to life. I'm grateful to God, our creator, and I'm grateful to our ancestors for creating another opportunity for us to be able to be on here today. And I just ask that today's show, let it be very uplifting, let it be encouraging, let it be educational, let it be fun, and most importantly, let it be empowering for each and every one of our listeners as we're sending out that spirit of love, that spirit of light, that spirit of unity and strength. I want to remind everybody that the Empower Hour is for everybody, as we are here for all religious denominations, all races, all cultures, all backgrounds. The Empower Hour is the voice of the people, and we are here for you. Bless, 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 bless. That's a new start. Do you know what you think?
I think that whenever you're sending good positive energy, it's always great.
Talk about it. Snap, 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 snap. We have an awesome interview with the one and only Alvina Ryan. You guys stay tuned.
Parlay with the people. Parlay with the people.
Parlay with the people.
Parlay with the people.
Parlay with the people.
Parlay with the people. Parlay with the people.
Parlay with the people.
Parlay with the people, y'all.
So, like we discussed at the beginning of the show, I personally feel we all have an inner writer in us. I feel that we all have a story to tell. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this guest that we have with us, if you have an idea on your heart, in your mind, in your spirit, and you want to get it out in written form, you need to connect with Dr. Alvina Ryan. We're blessed to have her with us today on Parlay with the People, another awesome part of the Empower Hour podcast and radio show. So, Dr. Alvina Ryan, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you. So first off, as you guys already know, I like to, before we dive into the business in terms of what you're doing, I like to just create an opportunity for those who might not have heard you, who might not know who you are, just for you to give an opportunity to introduce yourself to our people.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, my name is Alvina Ryan. I'm born here in Montreal, so I'm a Montrealer. Mm-hmm. My parents are from Montserrat. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who don't know where that is, it's in the Caribbean. It's a tiny little island, but beautiful, and kind of close to Guadeloupe, kind of close to Antigua. So gives you some reference. You know the song "Feeling Hot, Hot, Hot." Well, that's our song. So that's what you know. That's what you know about Montserrat.
Okay.
Just tell me something.
Okay.
Yeah, Montserrat. Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. Now I know.
And I'm a mother. I have 2 children, a boy and a girl. And I'm a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm an auntie. Mm-hmm. So I'm a friend. Mm-hmm. So most people also know me as a therapist. So this is, some of the titles, if you want to call it, that I have. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned before, therapist, most people know that I'm a massage therapist. I've been working in massage for many years, and, I had professional athletes, and that was, a great life that I created, and I still love it. My day job is insurance, so I like to call myself a trusted advisor. So anything insurance, like how Farrell says for the OFC, think of us first. Yeah. So anything insurance, think of me first. Yes. I have a way. I mean, my everyday is car and home insurance, which is compulsory in Quebec. So most people call me for that, especially they're buying a new used car and they need insurance. They need it off the lot like yesterday. That's who you call. And we can help you with a lot of other insurance needs. You might need pet insurance. You might need travel insurance. You might need commercial insurance. So because I work for a large company, Allstate, we could help you with many different needs that you have insurance-wise. So that's a good start to who I am.
Would you say, so the term serial entrepreneur,
Yeah, I'm definitely a serial entrepreneur. I mean, I only actually worked say a job for the last 7 years. I've always been an entrepreneur. I started really young, at 19 or so, maybe a little younger. Starting my business, started with a massage business, still working for everybody. I always worked for someone and for myself. Nice. And then when the numbers matched, then I decided, okay, I'm branching off on my own. I could do this, right? Yes. And so that's basically what I do for pretty much everything in my life. I really make sure I master the craft. And then, there's that book that says you have to do 10,000 hours in something to make sure you do it well. Yeah. So I always make sure I get to that, number. And then, by then my name is launched. Everybody knows what I do. And, so it's like that.
I love that. And again, and just for what you do in the community and just for always just being that reference, that go-to that we have. Because Alvina, and we were talking about it not too long ago, but when we started the OFC years ago, Alvina was one of our first board members, years ago. Because the OFC's been around for 12 years now. So Alvina definitely helped. And, and we're glad to have you back on the team. And we're always glad to have you as a member of the OFC because you've always been there as a resource to the community. So we thank you for what you're doing and just for the example that you set.
Thank you.
And just for always just being willing to help, because Alvina's one of those people you can call her, you can send her a message. I have a question about something. I have this, and she will give you she's super busy, guys. But she will make your time, even if she sends you a text that you late at night, because this is when she has a chance to respond. She will respond to that. We appreciate that.
Well, my community fed me growing up. I belong to a strong church community, a black church community, and when I wanted to get out of the house, they were going on a picnic. They were doing this. Right. They were doing that, and so I believe truly in giving back. I belong to an organization called Pathfinders, and I was the Pathfinder, but now I'm second in command in Quebec. So nice. I run Pathfindering for Quebec along with Chef Dominique. And so, but that's just a true attribute as to, you never forget your roots. You never forgot what fed you. You never forget, who helped you. So,
That's huge. I like that. So now, we're here to talk, because you are also a best-selling author. Basically, I would like for you to share a little bit about that journey. First off, and we can talk a little bit about the books and stuff that you have, and then we'll dive into the workshop and I guess you call it a workshop or the writers club that you're setting up. But let's deep dive into the books and what got you here and where you're going with them.
Absolutely. So I wasn't one of those people that grew up saying, I want to be an author. I was actually good at writing. I was always in high school placed in advanced English. I studied Latin. I studied Spanish. I like Romance languages. Obviously, I speak French because I grew up here. So I was interested. I always journaled, but journaling was for me an escape. Here's my life, and then I don't want to tell everybody my business, so I write down everything, and I write down the names and what happened to me and everything like that. So journaling was it's part of it's my way of my outlet. Okay. So it's my outlet of getting my thoughts onto paper and, seeing if I made the right choices and stuff like that. Which is good because when it translated into business, they tell you to map out your week and then they tell you to look at your schedule and what did you accomplish? What didn't you accomplish? What would have made your day greater? So I learned these by just journaling, right? And then a couple years ago, I had a life change and I was journaling. And I thought of getting that story out there because I know that my story is not unique and I can help other people. But I really didn't have the tools. I started to take some workshops. I started to look into publishing so that I would have like a greater, like the macro of how much this would cost me. What am I getting into? And I couldn't shake that idea that I really wanted to do this. I went to a retreat, a youth retreat, with my church. And it was a prayerful type of experience as well. Like you had to pray about things that you wanted to change in your life, where you wanted to go. And I just told my roommate, which was Rowan Higgins. I'm sure everybody in the community knows her. I told her that I was going to write a book. And she's like, well, the publisher's here. You got to meet him. And I was like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? Like, how about divine intervention, right? And one of my favorite words is providence. So I just felt like it was providence for me to be here and then all these opportunities. And then the best thing about the whole thing is I actually knew him.
Oh, nice.
Through Pathfinders, nice. Right? So, but I never knew that he did this other thing. Like, you know me, like some people know me as a therapist. They don't know that I do car and home insurance. Some people know me as an author because online, that's my social presence. And then they're like, you're a therapist? So, like we have all these hats that, and I knew him all this time and I never knew he was a publisher. So I sat down with him and his wife and they told me that they're going to help me produce my first book. And I was floored. Like, everything that I wanted out of this retreat, everything that I had been praying for, it all came like full circle, no pun intended. But that's what happened. And I was so excited. I went home and I started writing that story again. Like, it was already kind of written, but I really knew that like within a year, I got to get this done. Because I don't want him to feel like I'm not not appreciative or I'm not serious. So I made sure I got it done and I actually finished it. But I don't know, life was changing for me. Your feelings change about things that you're doing. And that wasn't going to be my first book. And then, things were happening with the disease being COVID being propagated. And, it was just like we were just hearing it come out of China. And we started talking about different titles for different things with the publisher, and we just changed the whole outlook to the book. I was praying a lot. I was praying for healing, forgiveness, different stuff in my life. And we ended up doing a prayer book. So actually, this is the first book. I pray on purpose because, and when I actually thought about how I was going to get this book out, I just decided I'm going to call up a few friends, tell them about the idea, ask them if they'd like to participate in a couple chapters and stuff. Everybody said yes. And again, that's divine because no one said, nah, I'll think about it. I don't understand what you're going to do. I've never done this before. And all my friends said yes. I called all the prayer warriors that I know already in church because it's a prayer book. And if you remember, March 2020, everything was shutting down. People were starting to pray. People were losing their family. Things were just uncertain. And that's when we were writing.
That's amazing.
So that's when we were writing. And the writing finished maybe around May, June. Because not everybody knows how to write. And I did a lot of editing for this part of the book. And, I also had a vision because above all things, I'm a businesswoman,
Exactly.
right? I'm an entrepreneur. So I had a vision of what I wanted for the book. Even when I'm, explaining to the publisher, I was like, I already decided I'm doing 2 books. And as you can see, the second book just came out, and it has almost the same title. The first one is I Pray on Purpose Because, and the second one is I Testify on Purpose Because. But I already knew that from the beginning, before it even came out, I had already visioned that it's going to be a series. It's not a one shot. You don't want to be a one-hit wonder in music or anything. I didn't want to be a one-time author. So, so that's basically where it started. We started with the prayer book and it was so timely, which helped it sell well. My publisher's Christian, which helped it sell well. And, everything just fell into place. And because people wanted to, this book is about teaching you how to pray. And, some people are like, oh, I'm not religious and stuff. It's not about the religious. It's about, as I said, even people who weren't religious, when people were dying, they turned to God. They came back to what they innately know, right? And they just wanted to just get an answer. And sometimes because you're not in the routine of praying,
Exactly.
you don't hear him. But maybe he's answering, but you don't hear him. You don't have a relationship with him.
You're not sure what you're listening for.
Like Farrell just explained our friendship. It comes he didn't even talk about it goes way back. Before that, we were young.
That's true.
I knew his whole family when I was little.
Yeah,
you know, so but you know, like what is so important is that you develop that relationship, and every time you talk to them, you foster that relationship, and that's how it is with God. You know, like sometimes we only come, oh please God, help me pass this test. He might, but he might not, and maybe it's to teach you a lesson because you should have studied. You know what I mean? But then if you have that relationship with him, like in the middle of the night, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, I heard a word. Oh, got to write that word down. Why did I get that word? You know, and then after something will happen maybe that day, that week, and I'm like, oh, God was trying to teach me something. He was trying to tell me something, right? Absolutely. And it just gives you such peace and such joy when you have that relationship and you know that he's your best friend. And when I was going through my darkest days, I don't want to tell my friends because you don't know how it's going to go around. And they're, you know, I love them, but at the same time, if I get the secret out, it's me who got the secret out. You know what I mean? So when I let God know my secret, he doesn't tell nobody. Exactly. You know what I mean? So that's how I became close to him. And I've been a Christian my whole life, but you have various degrees of intensity of how you practice. And at that point, I was like probably the height of, you know, my Christianity, if you want to call it. And I was practicing, but more not to be Christian, but really to just understand him, his ways. You know, it says in the Bible, his ways is not our ways, his thoughts is not our thoughts. And that's how I felt. And I just wanted to know, I just wanted to understand, what is your purpose for me? Why are you making me do this? Why did this happen to me? Why are you bringing me here? Why am I not writing the book that I wanted to write? And why am I writing this one? So, and that's all the stuff that he revealed to me.
I love it. And again, I just feel it's timely. We're on a time on the planet where people need to hear this because people need to reconnect. Everybody's going through something.
Exactly.
You know, and it is something that we might have forgotten or lose sight of. And that, like, prayer works. Like, and it has nothing to do with the religious background, like you said. It is really just being able to connect to that higher power, connect to, I call it the higher power and the power that's within as well.
Exactly.
You know, so that's huge. Let's take a quick positive cause just to shout out our homegirls, Kemba and Andrea from Keen Real Estate Group. Whenever you're thinking real estate, whenever you're thinking investments, whenever you're thinking about planning for the long term, think Keen Real Estate Group. They're generating wealth for generations. KeenGroup.ca. If your goal is to purchase a car and to make the process as simple as possible, just get a car broker, guys. You just get a car broker. Big shout out to our homeboy, Hamsdale Jacques, the owner of hjcourtierauto.com. That's HJCOURTIERAUTO.com. If you're a small to medium-sized business and you're getting started and you're ready to go to that next level, what do you need? You need a phone line and you need a website. Think Mainstream Digicom. They got all your telecommunication needs checked. MainstreamDigicom.com. You're trying to get out on the web. You're trying to understand how to navigate through ads. Check out Java Logics for all your marketing, your digital marketing. Where would we be without Preston? I don't even know. Check out Java Logics. I give thanks to Preston for what he's done for the OFC. The amount of positive reviews we've gotten from all his referrals, we're proud to stand behind his work. Check out javalogics.com. No, it's not just because he's my brother. It's because you can't talk hip-hop in Montreal without saying M-City Solo. Guys, check out his latest project, In My Fields, available on mcitysolo.com. If it's not one of the hardest new EPs to hit Montreal, come and let me know. You already know. It's your boy, Farrell, bigging up, mcitysolo.com. Keeping the culture alive. I gotta give thanks to West Can Folk Performing Company. For the last 40 years plus, they've been promoting our culture through song, drum, and dance, educating youth, the children, the seniors. Just check them out, westcanfolk.com.
Girl, what are you cooking?
My curry chicken.
Ooh, you're burning it.
Oh, gosh, it looks so...
It's okay, girl. You need the Curry House. They have the best Caribbean food in town. 2 locations in Montreal, West Island, and Côte-de-Neige. For more information, follow Caribbean Curry House, MTL. Don't forget to mention the Empower Hour for your 10% discount.
So, who placed in the order?
Me.
DeVito, WizKid, Burna Boy. Those are just some of the big names that's blessed Montreal thanks to Afrobeats Montreal. Definitely check out Afrobeats MTL for all concerts, show listings, everything that has to do with Afrobeats in the city. Check out Afrobeats MTL. One full circle. We are the Melanated Community Resource Hub and Network. What does that mean? We're here for each other. And then so you had the first 2, and but I'm seeing 4 on the table. So what happened there?
Well, I Pray on Purpose was the first book. Finding Joy in the Journey was the second book. Now, there's a difference here. I'm an author. I'm a best-selling author, but I'm a visionary author of these 2 books, the I Pray on Purpose and the I Testify on Purpose, because after I did the first book, I wasn't sure if I did everything right. You know, you're wondering, hey, it's like, was my way the right way?
Right.
I pulled it off. It sold. But is there a better way? So I went and joined someone else's project.
Okay.
And I wrote about in this book as well. And then from her, we became best-selling authors on Amazon and everything. And the whole experience made me realize I wasn't far off.
Right.
Like the way that I put the project together, the way that it assembled the book, this is exactly the way other people were doing it. And I had no model. I hadn't read an anthology before. I wrote an anthology.
Okay.
I hadn't read any anthologies before.
Nice.
And
That is
so
spirit, people.
just that came from God.
Yeah.
And then I went to her project and it was very similar. I learned a few new things,
Right.
how to market the book better, how to do this, do that. And then I was like, okay, I could do this. And then I started working on this project, but then things happened, you know. So again, my publisher had there was deaths in the family, blah, blah, blah. And the book was a year late. So
Okay.
I was working on this project, but the book never came out. And again, it's not my timing. It's his timing. He knows why it's late. Maybe if it came out a year ago, it wouldn't sell. Who
wasn't the
knows?
time, yep.
So I just let it alone. And I went again to join someone else's book project. Her name was Jessica Moore. Excellent book. The books came out almost a month apart.
Nice.
And this one is even endorsed by Les Brown, who is my personal mentor.
Wait, hold on. You know you got to show the cover.
Oh, sorry.
And make sure we get it good on this screen too.
Okay,
You
so
know.
this is Embracing
Okay.
Imperfections. This is a full color book, a full color book. And what is so great about it, because we could write books, but one thing people don't understand, they just want to tell their story.
Right.
But do people care about your story?
No, that really,
Maybe.
What's in it for me? They want to know.
Maybe someone will care about your story, but it's not about your story. It's about what's in it for them. How will they learn? How will they transform their lives? And what's interesting about this book, it's a transformational book. It has your story, but it also has the heart work. That's what we called it in this book. And how do we get past what happened to the person and how did they take it to the next level? What steps do they need? So it's almost like a book and a journal together. So I love this book, and it's full color, which is odd because most books are not full color. It's a little bit more expensive than the other ones, but it's like a 2 books in one. So it's definitely worth the price. And the book that I mentioned before, Finding Joy in the Journey, is all about the little things. But also about grief, because a lot of people, again, just as during COVID areas, right? I started writing in March 2020.
Yeah, it was like in the height of things going down.
This is just new, right?
Yeah, the world just
and
started
so
shutting down.
this was about grief and also like really like in life, find the joy in the little things, right? And so yeah, this is the journey. And then this one came out, as I said, just new. This is I Testify on Purpose, because so basically the premise is you don't know how to pray. You learn how to pray.
Yes.
And you take it day by day. And there are women in here that prayed prayers. So, and they're themed. Maybe one is about children. One is about infertility. One is about a death of someone.
Wow.
Right? So you have an opportunity you have an event that happens in your life and you need to pray a prayer, but you don't know really how the words, where they come from. you could pray the prayer with the person for your children, right? And then eventually, as you develop that relationship, you are going to find those words. Because it's like exercise. My bachelor's is in exercise science. So exercise is one of those things that if you do it today and you do it 2 weeks from now, there's no real benefit. But if you do it every day for 30 minutes, you're going to see the tone come. You're going to see so it's the same thing with prayer. You have to exercise that muscle. And then all of a sudden, those people that you look on TV and they're like, hallelujah, cheer of Jesus, and they have all those words. And then you're like, I don't have those words. Right. But those words will come because all you have to do is keep reading those words and seeing the way that people formulate the sentences and then develop your own prayer. Because remember, it doesn't matter what you pray. God takes it and he Jesus will say, takes it and he transforms those words to give it to the Father. So you don't have to have those eloquent prayers. You just have to say the truth. And the real thing is people have to talk to him like he's a friend. So if it's your friend.
I have people actually in religious experiences, like for those of you who know my story, I was incarcerated, and during that time I was praying and the people was like, oh, whoa, you can't pray like that. I'm like, listen, God, I got to go from here. I'm going to fire somebody up. I need you to get me out. They say you can't pray to God. Don't tell me how to pray to my God. He knows exactly who I am and why I'm talking like this. He knows I want him to understand that this is something serious. And I come to him like, oh, dear Father God. He might say, okay, I'm going to give her a couple days. No, right now.
Exactly.
Right now, take this from me now, because if you don't, tomorrow I'm gonna be saying a different prayer. So I think you just gotta get into it. Yes. And I think however you come, God accepts you, because there's some people who can't read and write. So there's no reading and there's no writing. It's about your understanding about what you feel, your connection to the other side. So
absolutely,
just start it. I think, and that's so right. Just start.
That's what it is, actually. You're so right. Just start. And then when we talk about book writing, a lot of people have that dream to write a book, but they have to start, right?
Yes.
So the prayer life is so important. When you just start, you just start from the beginning. Talk to him as a friend. And a lot of people, they'll say, dear God, dear God, dear God. But if you were talking to your friend, do I say Kaya, Kaya, Kaya every 2 seconds? I already know who I'm talking to, so I just talk.
Right.
So it's the same thing. There's a lot of things that we do that is wrong when it comes to prayer. But it's okay. Yep. When you're a babe, you have to learn somewhere, right? So you might do that at first. And then when you read for yourself, then you'll realize, hey, I'm not supposed to do that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't do that if I was talking to a friend, because he knows who I'm talking to, so I don't have to say
again. I know I called you yesterday.
Exactly.
And I was tripping, but I feel better now. But I got a different situation, and I need you to listen to me right quick. Exactly. This is really real.
And look at the people in the Bible. Not all prayers are nice, sweet, juicy.
Yes.
Oh yes, come to
Father
the Lord
God,
with this.
please rain fire and brimstone down on his head, because he just stole my daughter and ran in a chariot, and I can't catch them.
Satan, I rebuke you.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. God, help me dismantle this weapon that is coming towards me. They are chasing me down, God. Yeah, it's true.
And that's what we have to learn, is there's different types of prayers and different types of situations. Like sometimes, you even go to church and the person prays for 20 minutes and it's like, we're all on our knees. Like, be conscious.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not the right time, maybe. And then there's other times where 20 minutes doesn't hold water. We need 60 minutes because we're praying for our children and breaking the bondage and the generational curses, and we need time, right? So there's different types.
I know you guys are talking as the listeners, because there's the different spectrums of listeners, but there's ones who are there who are like, yeah, I've been in those hour prayer sessions, and I wasn't ready for. I didn't know I was getting into an hour prayer session. It's necessary what comes out of it, but Lord, especially as a child, you guys are talking, and I'm remembering my West Island Church of God days. Shout out to everybody from West Island Church of God. But man, sometimes we just weren't ready. We weren't ready.
I got cussed out after church several days, and it's almost like it'll bring the devil out of whoever took you to church, right? They take you to church, they're praying for so long. When you get sleepy, you get kind of giggly. So now we can't stop laughing. And they You just gonna laugh while Pastor talking. They looking at you, shooting you evil looks and stuff. But I cannot help it. Pastor said the same thing 5 times over and over. I think Pastor was sleeping because Pastor eyes was rolled like this when they was talking. They had their glasses on. I start laughing. They were upset with me, and now I can't stop laughing. Right. Now they asking me to excuse myself. Come on, y'all. Be conscious. I'm a child. And y'all woke us up at 6 o'clock this morning to get ready for this. I'm tired already. Yes. Please. And then they're like, well, you seem to be in it. I was crying because my eyes was leaking because I was tired. Right.
Yeah. You know? I didn't know. It's a spirit. It's a spirit working. But anyways, so let me digress because now we went deep. We deep dove. But it's necessary, guys. This is the Empower. We're talking spirit, guys. And just, you already know how we get down here.
So I actually seen this book online the other day. A friend of mine was presenting it. I think she has written for this book. Andrea.
Oh,
Andrea's in the book. Miss Trish is in the book.
Yeah. What an amazing way to start people on their journeys.
I'm telling you.
To be an author, to know that they did that, to be able to say that as part of their accolades. I'm like, oh my gosh. And Pharaoh's been telling me about you for a while because I have a couple of books that I want to write. My mother is a class act. Like my mother got $1 million bestseller book. For real. Amen. My mother is really that lady. So we've been waiting to see and hear from you, sister. Good. So I'm so happy that you're here to share your gifts and just to say it. Thank you for coming to Parlay with the people because this is what we need. There's a lot of people that got a story to tell.
That's it. And actually, so it's perfect. So let's talk about, because we have a writing workshop coming up.
Yes.
So let's dive in. Mm-hmm.
So basically, the writing workshop is to help you to get your ideas out of your head onto paper.
Amen.
And, most people will use a computer. I suggest you start typing your story into Google Docs right away because, just in case you close the computer, you have it there. But the whole point, whether you write on paper or you write straight in the computer, is get that story out of your head. Then you're going to submit it to me, right? And then I'm going to look and see, is this a story that has to be told and how to frame your story properly? Because again, a lot of people just tell their story.
Right.
But there's a way to tell your story.
To make it captivating, to make people want to follow
exactly.
it. Want to continue reading.
And that's why you're going to have your one-on-one with me, and we're going to discuss your story and how you're putting this book together. Because I sit in other clubs, and they're not necessarily from the community, but I go there to learn. And a lot of people have written a lot of books and they won't sell more than 100 copies. And I'm like, why would you take all of this time and effort, put something that makes you vulnerable maybe into print and then not sell any of it? Because we don't write our story really for us. It's really to help other people. When I wrote I Pray, it was about helping you to learn how to pray. When we write I Testify, guess what? 2 years later, after you learn to pray, you have that relationship, now you can testify that your life has changed. It's done better, right? And in this I Testify story, like you said, you mentioned Andrea. She tells her story. Now, the reason she told that story is not just to make shame on herself or anybody or anything like that. It's really to help that next person who has that same situation, right? And that's, all of us have a story to tell. I wrote about myself being non-hearing. I lost my hearing when I was pregnant with my second child. And that story is told in this book. I really didn't I think I told it on one station, but I haven't really told that story much. And most people knew me during that time and had no idea I couldn't hear. I was reading lips the whole time just because of the type of person I am. I don't want you to pity me. I don't want you to feel like, something is wrong. So I just made it work for me. that's how Black people are, especially Black women. We just deal with stuff, right? And I was dealing with a situation, but I was pregnant. I had to be good for my daughter, but I also had to embrace that this is happening to me. I can't hear anything, but I could read your lips. I'm going to learn to read your lips in English, French, and whatever other language, because I'm not telling you I can't hear you. Right? I couldn't talk on the phone. Like, can you imagine?
I actually have a friend like that. His mother experienced that after having him, and they said, you're not supposed to wash your hair after you have a baby, right? And you shouldn't submerge yourself in water. She washed her hair, and then her hearing went away.
Wow.
And when I met this man, I used to say to him, "Are you deaf?" And he used to say, "No." I said, "Well, why do you talk so loud?" And then I met his mom, and he said, "Yeah, I lost my hearing." So when he's a little baby and she's talking to, she's like, "Hi, baby," And so now he talks loud naturally, but because his mom was afflicted, so
I talk loud. I know. But I was pregnant. and I lost my hearing.
Wow.
So that was like 7 months pregnant, non-hearing.
Right.
And then a few months after that. But, you know, what can I testify about?
Yeah.
What caused it, sister?
We're not sure. My daughter was supposed to be born with spina bifida. And spina bifida is when your spinal cord doesn't close at L2.
Okay.
And so then you need like a tube to bring the cerebral spinal fluid back to your brain.
Okay.
So she would have had multiple surgeries, everything like that. So they were very worried about it. They gave me the abortion literature. I'm a Christian.
Right.
I don't really believe in it. But at the same time, I had to actually explore that other side.
Right, yeah.
So I actually went and interviewed a whole bunch of women that had children with spina bifida. And all of them told me, well, you're lucky, sister, basically, that, you know, you got the choice. We didn't have a choice. We just, you know, the technology wasn't there yet.
Right.
So they just had the baby.
Right, yeah.
But they told me about their nightmares of, you know, a lot of them lived with regret.
Okay.
Like if they had the choice, they would never do this choice because the whole thing about having a handicapped child,
Right.
it was a lot for them.
Okay.
I think I didn't like what I was hearing because
Right.
I really wanted to have another baby.
Right.
I was having a girl, and the whole thing was in conflict with my inside, right? I don't believe in it, to be honest.
Right.
And I had to make this decision, and I chose to ignore them. But I think I turned off my hearing. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Because the doctor told me something was wrong with my malice in my ear.
Okay.
Right? And I kept going to the neuro.
Right.
And they would do the tuning fork thing, and I couldn't hear it. And it just drove me nuts because I really wanted to hear it, and I just couldn't hear it.
Right.
And, at the end of it all, they told me I would have to learn how to sign. And funny enough, when I was little, I used to live near the Mackay Center, and I learned how to sign. And through Pathfinders, same thing. And I know a lot of words. I can do the whole alphabet. I could sign to you right now, but it would be like every letter to the words, right? So I wasn't really scared about it. But, it's hard to lose a sense. And it's hard. Like, I'm going to probably write a book about that. But you lose a sense and the other ones get heightened. And so as a massage therapist, everybody was telling me, my hands are amazing. What happened? You gave me the best massage of your life. So I knew that part of my life was changing, right? And the doctor wasn't that scared, but he told me, it's 50-50. When you deliver, maybe it'll come back, maybe it won't. 3 days later, after I delivered, I heard a pop. Like the first sound I've heard in months. I could hear like something. I couldn't tell. It wasn't a word, but it wasn't like the silence I used to live in.
Right, yeah.
So I was just hopeful, and I just hung on to that little, like when you see in the video that little light, and you were scraping your way out, and you see that little light. I could see that, like that light was in my ear, and it just gave me hope that I'm gonna hear again. And I just prayed about it, and I prayed the whole way when I was pregnant with my daughter, and she was supposed to have this, and she was supposed to have that, and she came up perfect.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So who doesn't say that prayer doesn't work? Prayer works.
Prayer works.
Prayer works. I prayed
Amen.
about my hearing. I prayed about the chance that I could hear again. I could hear.
Amen.
And, again, to hear.
Even in the way you tell the story, I'm captivated. I'm like, you see, I hear you.
Yeah.
Like,
And
and now I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
can't wait. Now
Yeah.
I must read.
Yeah,
Now I
I get it, and I get what people are going to learn because
Wow.
I see it, I feel it, I hear it when you're telling the story. I'm like, okay, you got me. I'm sure anybody listening.
Faith-based
you know?
stories are always great
Yeah.
because sometimes it gets dark out there, and you can't see your way. But faith is the light. And so when you tell your story, you give people who did not have faith. You give them light where there was only darkness for them.
Exactly.
Where they could only, I remember saying something to someone one day and they turned and they looked at me like, what did you just say? And I repeated myself and they said, you can say that? And I'm like, of course you can. You see, my mouth just said it. That's how I felt. They said, I felt like this before, but I couldn't put it into words. But you saying those words might actually teach someone what to pray for in their situation. You may actually give them that inkling that this is a way to access God through faith. And that's real.
Exactly.
Listen, I'm intrigued.
When I read Miss Trish's story, I dropped the paper. Like, it was so intense. There was a part there I was just like, and I couldn't wait to see. And that's what you have to get from reading. So going back to that workshop, you need to write in such a way that people want to read the rest.
Right.
Have you ever picked up a book and then you just don't want to read the rest of
Yeah,
it. And you
yeah,
bought it,
yeah.
but it just doesn't
It's not
pull
me.
you
I'm,
in.
I'm
It does.
no longer interested. It's not holding me.
And I don't want you to digest this book in one sitting. It's not to be read like whoop. It's supposed to be like every day, just read one. And again, back to that whole connection with God thing. A lot of people, they're trying to do too much.
Right.
Just start with the connection first, then go to the Bible reading, then go to maybe church going or whatever it is that, you know, but just do one little digestible thing to bring you one closer, 1% better every day. That's
Yes.
that theme. So try to get 1% better every day. And when it comes to writing a workshop, you have to write. That's the first thing. Like, I can't write your book for you. Actually, I could because I'm a ghostwriter, but I don't have time. But you know, you have to write the story, and then I can take that story and tell you, here, this, that, where you should put a little bit more of this, you should put a little bit more oomph there, take this out, you know, because, you know, we need to show the transformation. We need to show the result. We need to show this is where you are at and this is where you're going. That's the whole point of every story. And you don't know who's going to read your story, and it will transform their life. And that's the point of writing books. And so there's 4 books in 2 years, and I'm thrilled, and I'm not stopping. So
I love it, and I have a couple of books inside me as well. So I definitely want to take part. So now for those who are listening, they feel they have that book inside of them. They want to get it out. What are the next steps? Where do we go from here? How do we register? How do we take part?
Well, definitely contact me. I mean, there's so many ways to contact me. I have a Jot form that I want you to fill out because I really want to connect with everybody. Like, even the people that are in my book, they're handpicked, you know? So I want to connect with you. I want to make sure you're right. Like, there's a difference between nonfiction and fiction. So again, you might have a story, but I'm a nonfiction writer. So I can help people who want to tell their story, their biographies, those kind of things. I'm good at that part. But then if you're a fiction writer, maybe I should connect you with one of my colleagues. So I want you to fill out the form. I want to know where you're going. And then we'll decide if the workshop is best for you. And my name is Alvina. Thank you, Jesus, that my parents named me that. There's not too many Alvinas in this world. So my name is Alvina Ryan. My website is www.alvinaryan.com. On Facebook, I'm Alvina Ryan. On Instagram, I'm Alvina _ Ryan or Alvina Ryan Readers. And TikTok, I'm Alvina Ryan. Go to my TikTok. I have funny TikToks. I have funny TikToks.
Right now.
But, you know, if you go to alvinaryan.com, you can look for the contact button or put / contact, and then you'll have a form there, and that way we communicate. I can send you my Jot form, and we can come up with a time where you can actually discuss with me, because I really want you to connect with me. I want you, you know, as an advisor, that, you know, that whole aura of me. I like people to be with me because, you know, they've chosen, like, it's like a job interview. I choose you, you choose me. Right? So I want you to be there because you want to, and that way you're going to get the most benefit. And also, I don't want you to just do it because I want you to really make this a commitment so that you want to go further and you want to actually produce that book. Right? So
I love it. I'm definitely, you know, I should make a note right now.
Alvina Ryan.
Good. No, because it's honestly like I think I have 2 books in me. I was just talking to my wife about this. So I definitely, it's the time, and I feel it's necessary. There's things that I have in me that the world needs to hear. I know. It's okay. Now I'm in my head. I'm like, definitely. You see, and I know I'm not the only one. So I'm excited for this, and I'm glad that you've created this opportunity for the community.
Right.
So now, as we're now closing up, this has been very fun. Like, we brought our listeners through journeys, through emotions, through the spiritual revelations. And as you know, like, when we're closing up our interviews, you know, I always like to have people leave us with some empowering words.
Well, I sign all of my books this year, the new book, I Testify on Purpose, because I sign them all that says, in everything, give thanks. And so that's what I am. I'm grateful. I'm thankful for every opportunity, for God, for this opportunity to do the interview so that we could connect with the people. And, you know, I'm just grateful. I think every night I journal in a gratitude journal. And when you look back and you reflect, you know, even a few months ago or even a year ago on what you've done and where you're going, you know, I thank him every day for what he's done, what he's doing, and what he is going to do in my life. So Those are my words.
Amen. Hotep, Ashe, Ashe. Guys, you've been listening. We have been blessed to be with Dr. Alvina Ryan, who has her writing workshop. Again, for those who you feel you have that book in your spirit, reach out Alvina Ryan on everything. Just connect with her. She'll send you the job form to see if it's a match. If, fingers crossed. And if not, if it's not matched with her, then within her network, she'll see who she can plug you with. Again, Queen, I thank you for being with us today on Parley with the People on the Empower Hour. We're super grateful.
Kings and queens, this was the Empower Hour with Pharaoh Freeman, Queen Kaya, and Gina the Great. We are on live every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. and broadcasting Thursday mornings at 7 a.m. on CKUT 90.3 FM. Hopefully you got your dose of entertainment, enlightenment, and empowerment. Subscribe and watch us on empowermtl.com and email us at empowermtl@gmail.com to anonymously be featured on our What's the Tea Mail segment. Stay blessed, black, and highly favored.